more high-level stuff on capital. This is what council requested. They wanted to have some input or see where everybody's capital was before we gave you guys the budget. So this is your guys' request. Just for everybody's here to go over their capital. Just jump right in if you've got any questions. So as you know, each year we transfer money out of the general funds and the other utility funds to pay for the upcoming capital. So at the end of this year, we're going to be transferring money out of the general fund into funds 424 and 430 to pay for our upcoming capital, and same with our electric funds and our water funds and our sewer funds. We do this every year, so the better the year the general fund is having, the more money we get to transfer out and the more money we have for capital. So for 2019, we are looking to transfer out $650,000 from the general fund. To put this in perspective, in 2018, that number was $1.1 million. So you can see the general fund is not doing as well as it used to be. The larger the deficits we have, the less money we have available for capital. We're also going to request $300,000 to be transferred out from the general fund reserve fund. The city has not touched this fund since 2010. This is like a rainy day money. We have $721,000 sitting there. We are requesting to use $300,000 of this in 2019. This will allow us to get just about all of the general fund related capital if we could use this $300,000.
How did we get the $720,000 in the reserve fund?
Yeah, so when the general fund has good years, we put money aside and we put it into that fund.
Okay.
And this is above and beyond the 21% reserve.
Right. So this just, the general fund's looking at, we're requesting to transfer out $650,000 at the end of this year. We're going to use $300,000 of the general fund reserve. The sewer fund will be transferring out $300,000, and the electric revenue fund will be transferring out $1.4 million at the end of this year. And this will, all this goes to pay for future capital projects, except for $150,000 of the general fund that's being transferred out. That's going to support the EMS fund, the fire fund. This has been operating in the negative, which is against the Ohio Revised Code. The fund cannot be in the negative at the end of the year, so the general fund has to take $150,000 of the general fund money and put it towards this fund. This goes into a little bit more detail about the year-end transfers that we are requesting. Again, the general fund transferring out $650,000. $150,000 is going to go to the EMS fund.
What does that EMS fund spend? What does it buy? Or what is it? How does it get depleted?
It gets depleted. They are spending more than they're bringing in.
What is that?
What are they
What
spending?
are they spending on?
They do pay for salaries. There's part of the portion of the salaries that are going through. This is where we get all of our EMS funds goes through this fund. The revenues we get these revenues from the EMS funds. When the ambulance goes out, we bill.
We go Medicare pays us, it goes down.
Right.
And if we don't get any money back, we don't pursue it, we just.
Right. We get Chief. You want to go over the billing real quick? How this works?
When we transfer somebody by ambulance, we send a bill to their insurance provider, and we get money in return for that service. It's generally not ever 100%. If private insurance pays a lot more than, say, Medicare or Medicaid, a very large percentage of our population is Medicare and Medicaid insured, so we get a very small return on our service for that money. So that's how that money comes in.
So when I look at my Medicaid bill and I see that the doctor billed $3,000 for my procedure, and Medicaid's only gonna pay $200, which is allowable, it's the same type of thing?
Correct, yes.
Why don't you bill $3,000?
Our bill for an ALS 2 ambulance call, which is the highest level we can bill at, we bill about $1,500 for that call. Medicare pays about $120 for that same, plus mileage. Now, we recently increased our billing fees to capture, and our mileage fees to capture a little more of the private insurance and some of our billing representative looked at our billing and said we could do this and possibly recoup some additional funding that way. And that's been since April, and we haven't seen a big uptrend in the revenues yet. Our revenues have been pretty steady all 3 quarters this year.
But
The other piece of that is that we will be sending we will be training all of our fire paramedics to make sure that they understand exactly what needs to be put in every single report so that we do capture the best we can.
Yeah, there's almost constant changes in how they code the reports, and we have to identify better how to document those code changes so we can recoup as much money as possible.
But most of this is really salaries and.
salaries, there's fire expenses in there as well. We used to bring in like $550,000 of revenues in this fund. For 2020, we're only projecting to bring in $485,000. So you can see our revenues are down considerably in that fund.
But our runs are up considerably.
Yes, and we do the soft billing, and if we went to the hard billing, which I know you guys aren't in favor of, we could bring in more money.
So what is the hard billing?
I was gonna say, that was a conversation we had a lot of years ago. Why don't you explain that?
Oh, going to collections.
Yeah, so hard billing is when you send the bill to the insurance company, they pay their portion, they come back. Whatever the difference is between what they paid and what's on our books, you then send that bill to the resident or to the outside customer. If they pay it, then great. If they don't, then we end up taking them to collections and go through the collection system.
So do we send in the bill and then if we don't pay it, we just forgive? Or do we not even send
We
it?
don't send bills. We only accept insurance, that's soft billing.
So
Whatever
could
the
we-
insurance company gives us, we accept.
So a modified hard bill would be send out a bill, but if we don't get it, we just let it go? No?
Well, now that that's recorded on a bill sheet, they'll never get a bill.
Yeah. So is that obviously something we can come back to, but that may be something that council would want to revisit in discussion?
And we have been having a supplement that fund the last 2 years. Last year, we moved probably 150, 170,000 into that fund just to keep it alive as well.
Is there a way to figure out if we were to switch to the hard billing model, how that revenue would change?
We
Can
can
they
run
work it
some
out?
scenarios with our billing.
Yeah.
Could you, I'm sorry, I didn't hear this.
To project what, if we had, like what our projected income revenue for that fund is this year currently versus if we were to change to that hard billing model for the year, what the projected.
I would have to check with the billing company to see if they have a projection for hard billing versus what we're doing. There's several different ways. There's a soft billing, or you could do actually the hard billing.
So
And
I'd be interested to see
I
how
could-
big of a
I
discrepancy.
could get
that
those
would be.
figures for you.
Did we used to do hard billing?
That's-
Never?
that's nice.
Not to my knowledge, no. We've never done hard billing.
So it was always soft?
It was always just we bill the insurance companies and that's it. And we take what we can get and go away. And I think the trade-off for that we used at the time was we passed the fire levy for
first
equipment
fire
and so forth. And if we start hard billing, we may not renew that levy, which would hurt us more than what we're
Right,
losing, much more than what we're losing for, what we would gain in hard billing.
okay.
And I guess I would want to know also, would we be the only Lake County, Lake County city that does it?
Yeah, we can get all that data and everything.
Actually, we haven't even gotten up line 1 yet.
Yeah, long night.
We're just
It was
so
gonna kill me,
excited.
I know. Okay, so, those are our transfers out. Again, we're gonna request $300,000. If we don't get that $300,000, we're gonna have to short our capital by $300,000. And we're already shorted it by $150,000, which we'll get into in a minute here. Everybody good with this?
Is there a possibility of not getting 300,000?
Oh, we
Well,
should-
I know.
So maybe
That's not-
they couldn't get it to you, right?
Here's your job description.
I thought there were other reasons.
No,
Santa
no.
doesn't drop it off for Christmas.
Okay, what this slide is showing is the highlighted numbers are the general fund's unencumbered balances before we do transfers out. Like I said, every year, at the end of the year, we transfer out what money's available, and the more money is available, we transfer out, means more capital projects. So in 2017, we had $5.5 million available for transferring out. We transferred out almost $2.6 million. That went to capital, that also funded our general fund reserve, Mr. Porter, that you were asking about. When we have good years, we put it away and we saved up a little bit. Left us with an unencumbered balance of just under $3 million. 2018, we only have $4.1 million available to ending fund balance. We can only transfer out $1.1 million. And then it brings us ending fund balance. Our ending fund balance is always right around $3 million, and that's per requirement. We have to be between 20 and 25% of the general fund budget. And if you look at 2019, you're going to see a big reduction. So we're only going to have about $3.6 million available at the end of this year. We're only going to be able to transfer out $650,000. This is a 75% decrease than we did in 2017. So you can see in 2017, we had a good year, and then unfortunately since 2017, our general fund has not been doing as well, and most of that is our income taxes, and our expenses continue to go up.
So which was the year where the bigger companies overestimated their income tax? Is that 2017?
We had 2018 is where we had to pay some big refunds. We had to pay $600,000 in refunds in 2018.
From a 2017 reporting?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so that's why 2017
Right.
appeared so big, okay.
So it is, alarming when you look at it this way, that, the amount available for capital and everything else, it's been cut by 75%. It used to be 2.6 million, and now it's $650,000. Again, the better the general fund is doing, the more money we send out. When we're operating at a surplus, we have more money available, and everybody's happy. Unfortunately, that hasn't been the case, and this is where we stand. You guys okay with this?
We are not okay with
No,
it.
it is what it is.
All right, we're just going to do a high-level look at some of the projected budgets for 2020. Okay, for the general fund, that is the top line right there. We're looking at the 2020 budget deficit of just under $300,000. That means we will be spending $300,000 more than we're bringing in. At this projection, the percent of carryover will come in at 19.87%. So that rounds us up to 20%. That is the lowest we could bring the general fund in. So, we really are getting low there. For 2019, the general fund, we had a budget deficit of just under $200,000. I want to point out that line below that general fund reserve, see that $421,000, right now it's $721,000. But we are requesting to take $300,000 of that to pay for capital. The street construction, maintenance, and repair fund, we're going to, for 2020, it's going to be operating at a deficit just under $200,000. This is where we pay for the city's portion of roads. And unfortunately, in past years, the general fund has always been able to transfer money into this fund to help pay for the roads. We are not able to transfer any money into this fund in 2020.
So this deficit is based on the roads that we projected to do for the project.
Yes.
We want to change that. We
Minus-
Minus $150,000, yeah.
$150,000. So we'll get to that.
Okay.
But if we were able to transfer it, last year we transferred in $135,000 into this fund. This year the general fund is transferring zero, and that's where we cut $150,000 to make up for that transfer that we couldn't do. The EMS fund that we talked about before, that's Fund 229, that's operating at a deficit of almost $170,000. Fund 424 and 430, those are capital project funds. There's no money coming in because we pay for it all in advance. We will pay for all those projects in 2019. The water revenue is almost balanced. They're just $15,000 deficit. That's really good. They're really close. Water pollution is actually balanced by $94,000 to the good. And electric revenue, that fund has budget deficit of $175,000. The electric utility reserve, we are also requesting to transfer out $3.1 million of the electric utility reserve. Again, this was money we set aside for big projects for the electric fund. This balance right now is $3.6 million. And we're asking to transfer out $3.1 of that million to bury electric cables at the high point, or bury electric cables throughout the city to pay for future development. Any?
Where does the AMI funds come?
The AMI funds, those are already accounted for and encumbered. These are the draft general fund capital revenue. So if you look, so before we transfer any money into these funds, Fund 424 and 430, those are where we pay for the general fund related capital. They're going to have a total balance of just over $370,000. We're going to transfer in $500,000. It's from the $300,000 and from the general fund. That'll bring us to a total of just over $870,000 for the general fund related capital. To be safe, we're going to keep these fund balances with $100,000 in each fund balance. So once we're done with all our projects, we'll have $100,000 left just in case something bad comes up or we need a little extra money. So that leaves us with $671,000. The total request for capital funds in 424 and 430 is just under $1 million. So if we take that $300,000 from the general fund reserve, we get all of the funds, all the capital projects that are being requested, except for the $150,000 in road projects that we're going to back out. You guys get that?
He'll see it again.
Okay. All right, these are the capital cuts that we've taken out of general fund related accounts. We originally had $150,000 in for roads. $100,000 of that was to pave Roosevelt, and $50,000 was to microsurface Liberty Greens. We are taking those out. Outside of that, if we're allowed to use that $300,000, all the other general fund related capital expenses for 2020 will be met. I just want to point out that, so that rainy day fund, there's $721,000 there. We're going to use $300,000. Once this money's gone, it's gone. There's no funding source for this fund. So if the general fund continues to do bad or deficit spend, we're not going to be able to build up this rainy day fund.
So, can I ask a question?
Sure.
So my question about that, is that the $150,000 that council pushed for a while?
No, you had,
Match
we
that
got,
were
no,
requested?
council has requested a match of nearly what the roads pay for. The road levy brings in $630,000. Council asked for a match of that, and we are right around $430,000 of that this year.
So are these reflected as being in these deficits? Are these deficits after those cuts are made? Or is this?
Yeah, well, yes, those deficits, yeah, because you fund in advance, so the deficits are gonna be the same no matter what.
Okay, so $150,000 being cut out of the road fund has
That's our
no
impact.
impact on the
Oh, no,
190.
it it would increase that deficit in Fund 201. We would have to increase it by 150,000.
So if we didn't do the 150, this is the 193.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Everybody good? So here are the draft 2020 capital requests. And then if you guys have any questions, the department heads are here to go over them. The street maintenance fund, this is the city's portion for the roads. We're going to be spending $433,000 on the roads. This is minus the $150,000 that we took out. The police, we're going to be buying a vehicle through this OBI funds. This is a court money. This is not general fund money. It's going to be about $68,000 for that. Fire, asking for $40,000 for life packs and 2 new computers. And that's coming out of their fire levy fund. That is not general fund money. 236, this is the new fire levy fund. They are requesting $15,000. Again, that is not general fund money. 237, this is the road levy, and we are going to be spending $847,000 from this. The reason we're able to spend a little bit more, we had some projects come in under budget, and so there's extra money available, so they're spending extra money with the road levy funds. 415 is court money, that's $30,000. 424, this is one of the general fund related capital funds. In total, we're asking for $227,000 from this fund. The big one is Public Works is requesting almost $112,000 for the demolition of the old Public Works building. 427, that's grant money, that's offsetting grant money with that. 429, that's court's money, again, that's not general fund money. Fund 430, this is the other general fund related capital. In total, we're requesting $740,000. The big one is $250,000. This is the other half of the new accounting system. We budgeted half of this in 2019. This is the other half. Public Works is asking for $125,000 for a new dump truck. We budgeted for half of this in 2019 as well. Then we are also requesting a sewer camera truck. I believe the current sewer camera is roughly 10 years old. This is going to cost $270,000, but we're paying it out of 3 different funds. Any questions on these capitals or concerns?
So who passed the police levy? Not that it'll change anything for this.
I'm glad you brought that up, thank you. If you pass the police, if the police levy passes, we will be able to move some police vehicles into the police levy fund.
So that will put less of strain on the capital?
Yes.
On the
Yes.
general fund?
Mhm.
How much?
At least one vehicle, what do we have, Chief? One
We had
vehicle?
one, we only had one
In here
vehicle,
for 60,000.
60K, yep.
But if you pass it, we'll still spend it this year. We won't get the levy money till next year.
We get the levy monies next year, so we would take, if the police levy passes, we would take it out of Fund 430 and move it into the new fund for the police levy monies. So that would free up that money.
Oh, this year?
Yes,
Everyone.
yes.
That's insane.
Yeah, so get out and go.
Oh, I got to sign
So I have a question. So when we discussed this, I don't know when we discussed it last month, I believe the number was like $365,000 in deficit. But,
Yeah, the general fund right now is at a deficit of just under $300,000.
okay, all right. But then at the time, I don't know, maybe I missed it, that there was discussion about all of these other funds having such large deficits.
I think we were strictly just talking about the general fund. I don't know if we got into
Okay.
detail. I don't think we really had those numbers then.
All right.
other is cut expenses. Those are our only two options.
Well, I guess my concern is, I don't know, looking at what, first of all, I feel like this is a new format that we're getting here.
It is a little bit different.
I do love it.
You know, yeah.
You don't
Well, so we're only
I know.
touching on operating because this is supposed to be about capital.
Yeah.
So we were just giving you a preview of what's coming for the operation conversation. It wasn't meant to be in-depth because
Yeah.
we're supposed to just be
So
focusing
this
on
makes me
capital.
super nervous.
I have the normal format that you're used to, but
Okay,
this isn't, like Monica said, this is
Yeah.
just for the capital.
okay,
This
so we
was
are
just
gonna
a
have,
teaser.
are we going to get that data?
Well, yeah, like we always do, you know, no, I had everything. You guys
I knew
know.
that. No, but I mean, like, that's something, are we going to have another special meeting to go over that?
Well, we do that November 12th, I think it is, when we
Okay.
go over the whole budget with you
I
guys.
wasn't
yeah.
sure, I
Yeah.
don't pay attention to my schedule, I'll just go over it.
And we usually give you the budget, I don't know, a week or two
Yeah.
before that.
Okay, so we're
yeah.
still doing that process?
Yes.
That's what I wanted, okay.
So, my question is, when we get the figures for the expected expense of what something's gonna cost us,
Mhm.
and I don't know why this one's sticking out to me, but it's sticking out when we looked at the mulch for Marine Park at $15,000.
Okay.
To me, that seems like an extraordinary amount of money for mulch.
It's a rubber mulch.
It's rubber mulch.
I'm just saying, and my question is, I'm just throwing that one out because that one jumped out at me. My question is, so they're actually getting some general park prices, or are they actually getting quotes on things? How are they coming up with the?
Michelle, will you come up and answer that question?
So we get pricing on mulch, we actually have been getting the best pricing we can get, but besides the fact that we're replacing the mulch, so we have to dig it out, we have to put in a gravel base, we have to put in a fabric liner, then we put the rubber mulch on top, it's all part of this whole process.
So that's part of the 15,000.
So it's not just rubber mulch.
Right, and then the other thing is, the ones we've already done, you have to go back each year and see where they've worn and top dress them, so that you have the right amount of fall zone. So a certain percentage of that is going into Marine Park, the rest is going back as regular maintenance, which you need to maintain your play structures. Maintenance is all part of it.
So it's not just the actual materials? It's
It is the materials, but it's more than rubber, it's more than mulch just from Marine Park. It's also top dressing. We've already done all the exercise equipment at Recreation Park, all the play structures at Recreation Park. Holiday Shaw Park was done, Huntington State Park was done, Lakeford Swing Set and their play structure was done. So all of those we'll have to go back every year and just make sure, like by swing, how it gets, and it goes on into the grass and so we have to top dress. But besides the rubber mulch, we do have to put down a base before we put the rubber mulch down. So it's all materials, it's just,
It's just generalized here, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions about general fund related capital?
I guess I have one question for you. You had shared with us when you were meeting, I think it was in our finance meeting, that, you know, when the staff comes to you with their needs, that you have to go through a process of deciding what actually makes it to this far, correct? So, what would you say the needs were, like financially? Can you give a ballpark idea about what they actually were compared to what was?
On the operating side, or,
Or just on the capital expenses side, like?
so the only
capital
thing that we cut
projects.
was that 150,000. And then we're asking to transfer 300,000 from the reserve fund. So that summary of just those two bullet points was to answer that question, which is what we cut.
But that's what you cut in totality of all the projects that were brought to you from your staff?
In the capital, yes,
For the general fund, yes.
yes,
Nobody went overboard this year.
yeah.
And in the past, there have been hoverboard requests and hovercraft and, yeah.
Stop it.
Hoverboards, too, I don't know what they do in the park. Yeah.
Spaceship,
So-
you got a spaceship.
Because over the last 3 years, we really tried to save up for certain things and move things around year to year. Like some of these items, like the dump truck, we saved half the money from last year, knowing we'd be able to save half the money from this year to be able to finally purchase it. All the recreation vehicles, we cut out of last year's capital budget, knowing that they would be in 2020's budget. So I think we're just, as a team, getting better at understanding what is available and how to think ahead far enough to start saving for some of this stuff.
So is the dump truck really 250,000 and we're only taking 125 out this year?
Correct.
And 125 is already set aside in
From
2019.
last year.
The 300,000 was being transferred from the reserve. Is that just going everywhere, or is there a specific project that that's going?
It's a combination of funds in 424 and 430, that's paying for those. But again, this is your guys' chance to go over any capital, so if you have, because we're trying to get this hammered out, and if you guys want anything changed, we're going to need to know.
Well, I'm not happy that we're taking it out of roads, I have to just say that. And I understand that roads don't cut the grass, and I understand that roads don't taser a criminal, and I understand that they're not a police car. But I'm bothered, I just want to say for the record, I'm bothered by that, because it's an easy place to cut, and I get that. But one of the things that we were trying to do with the residents was we were, roads is a big deal to them, and I just want to go on the record, I'm not happy with it.
Well, and I would add to that by saying that I think we talked about, for our EMS squads and for our police cars that travel those roads and our plows that have to plow those roads, that having the roads helps us save on, the expenses of keeping up with our equipment, things like that too. So,
If I may, there is, if you wanted to go back to the roads, we're going to have to take 150 out of 424 and 430. That's,
Right, I
It's
understand,
also-
that. I'm just saying, I'm not
yeah.
happy with it, that's all I'm saying. Because as Monica said, this is, people were conservative, it's not like we're asking for the moon here, but when I walk and when I talk to residents, I don't say, wow, I really like the way they cut that grass, or I really like the,
Well, I mean.
but I understand that, but I hear our
Right,
roads are terrible, I hear that all the time.
we only hear it when the grass isn't cut,
Correct.
or the snow isn't
Well,
cut.
I understand.
So when you start getting those complaints, then, but over the last several years, we have put a little bit of money into roads. There was going to come a point in time where we couldn't continue that process, just because every year we have 2 to 3% increase in salaries and benefits, but we haven't had that 2 or 3% increase in revenues. So it's pretty much the way government agencies work.
So there is one project that we could talk about cutting, which is the demolition of the old public works building, but that just sets the whole source.
No, that's gotta go.
Right.
That's an eyesore. If there's anything, you drive down that area down there, it looks like it's depressed.
It is depressing.
It's gotta go.
And I would say in relation to roads, I think we've done a really nice job of spreading them out through the city, but also of really covering the main roads and getting grant dollars for that. So I appreciate all of the work and effort that's
Oh,
gone
and
in.
I do too, I'm just saying for me, that's the only,
Duly noted.
yep, let's go.
I have questions. So the columbarium, I know we had some issues starting out with the columbarium, but I think if I remember correctly, we filled one, we put up a second one, so this is a third,
It's almost filled.
and it's almost filled. Okay, so it's gonna be,
It was just put on in July. There were 24 inches available, 14 were sold already. We have 10 inches left, which will be gone by next year, so that will leave you with no inches in everything in Riverside Cemetery.
so then I guess my question is, for that being a capital expenditure, that's not actually a general fund capital expenditure. money for it.
Everything goes into one fund, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's,
So
yeah.
when-
That goes into the cemeteries fund, and then the general fund has to supplement the cemeteries fund. But the more, that does generate revenue, so it's helps the cemeteries fund, and then the general fund has to transfer less money to the cemeteries fund to keep us all in.
So then,
It does generate revenue, so it is a good thing.
okay, yeah, so then the $25,000, that's the actual cost of the columbarium.
This, yes, actual cost.
It's,
But we might have gotten $10,000 from the cemetery fund to cover that 25.
No.
Well, no, because the cemetery fund runs in a deficit every year. So last year's deficit was 100% cemetery fund. This year's deficit is close to, the cemetery's fund is $300,000 in the hole this year, $306,000.
So that's.
It just helps it.
It
Yeah.
only helps, it does not cover the cost.
Keeps the mowers running.
And we should probably be buying more if you listen to the statistics from the Council on Aging,
Yeah,
due to the fact that in a few years, a third of the population in Lake County is going to be senior citizens.
We're just gonna stack them
Well, may I
And
say-
we're a dying breed, so.
run down.
May I just say this comment here? The last two that we put in, there was like a pattern set that we followed. So the last two we put in had 24 niches in each of them. The columbariums themselves cost $10,000, but then you had to put a base down.
Yeah.
So we had $13,000 for each of those. This columbarium is actually going to have 80 niches in it. Because what I said, which didn't make sense, is we're going to follow the pattern. This is the last one for this group. But we're going to follow the pattern where they're all, there's niches on the whole inside, where there's the paper area. But this last one will also be facing the road. So I decided on niches on the back side of it too, which we don't have any other
Okay.
grouping.
So we're really packing them in.
So, but we're going to get so much more for our money. We're going
Yeah.
to get 80 niches.
Okay.
Where we're asking for 25,000, where 224 columbariums.
Cost us about the same much.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
How much does that generate, money-wise? I mean, for each one, what is it?
Well, it depends on where they're located, so the higher niches, we charge more money for those. Then there's the middle and the lower niches. I don't know the exact rate off the top of my head.
But it pays for itself.
Yeah, it covers the cost of the columbarium. I don't know, I don't know how much more it covers.
Okay. And then the same concept with the grading expansion, that's to be able to expand our capacity and increase.
yeah, so we started last year with the cutting of the
The trees,
trees,
yeah.
and this is step 2, which is grading.
Okay.
Do you have any information if we're gonna be able to sell that property for the marijuana processing or?
I got no update.
But all that money would go to the general fund.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would. He could
Yeah,
find
sure.
it somewhere.
So-
For a segue.
Are we good with this capital, 424 and 430? Can we run with this and
Yes.
put it in the budget and say, okay,
Is there anything we can learn about?
probably not?
Is there
Then
anything?
yes.
else?
I mean, unless there's something that we
Why
can
don't
say,
you need county
we don't
payroll
need
system?
this.
Andy is not
Andy's
Fine
Yeah.
with me, that's fine with me.
Slide.
Yeah, I mean, if there's nothing that, I mean, you guys were telling us this is the bare bones and these are the things we need and,
Okay, you're fine with the 300,000, we'll go to, okay. All right, good deal.
So if we get that, look, police levy, I want that $60,000 not to go in his pocket, but where would it go? Back in the roads?
Just when
One of
it
my other
trains,
pockets.
we probably wouldn't transfer 300,000 over.
Oh, you don't trust
We
240?
would only do 240.
Okay.
so then we would actually have 20% over instead of 19.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I don't want to belabor the roads issue too long. Maybe this is a discussion for another day, but at some point, you know, how do we, besides the levy, if the levy goes away, what next? How are we going to fund roads and keep up with roads?
Yeah, we've had this
We won't
discussion
be able
a
to.
million times, yeah.
Right. So that's why I don't, I guess, as you're working through the budget process, why something like that doesn't become something that we're saving for, like we're saving for dump trucks
And
other
other things
things.
for Main Street.
Why is that not part of the process, and when, and how do we get that to be part of the process?
Does council want us to make that part of the process?
Well, if you say to me as my city manager that we're not going to be able to keep up with the roads, and we're going to be back in 5 years exactly where we are now, and then trying to get another road levy, and it's not going to look like good stewards of the money, so
Well, when is the road levy up?
that's 2024, right?
Correct.
You know, the other part of this though is, we also were in need of a fire station.
We're in need of a lot of stuff.
I mean, we're in need of a lot of stuff, so I'm not sure we can pick one particular thing and say, roads is, I think we continue to look at the overall picture, because the facility down at Stores, that is not complete. There are things that still need to be done down there that are gonna cost money. And, I know that the fire and the police,
I have, and this probably predates me, but I guess how did we get to this point where we went from, what, did we take on services that we should not have taken on at some point that are now causing strains on other things within our funding mechanisms? Because I don't remember, I remember the roads being bad, but I don't remember the roads being a strain when I was younger. I don't remember those things being difficult and having to have these debates of, do we put house fires out or do we fix roads? And so I guess and this is, I don't expect an answer to this today, but I'm wondering, what did we do as a city, as a community, that put us in this position that we can't plan for our roads? Did we leverage too many things? Did we promise too much to our residents? What is it that put us here?
Before the road levy, we were only spending $100,000 to $200,000 a year on roads.
And we fell way behind.
And now, like this year, with the roads and some of the water lines, it's $2.3 million.
Yeah. Well, I guess my thing is, did we lose a ton of tax
Our
revenue?
income taxes
Did
have not,
we,
yes.
what happened between the 80s and now?
I would
that-
be curious to see about, income tax and how that was.
That's,
Yeah.
and that's exactly it, like, where did
We
we,
used to be bringing in $8.9 million. We budgeted $8.2 million for income tax this year. Probably gonna be right around that.
Well, the
Our
state,
largest
We
companies.
lost the hospital that had doctors' salary. We lost the VA, which had doctor's salary. We lost a lot of high-paying salary jobs and have replaced them with lower-paid retail jobs.
One of
So-
our major manufacturing companies, they used to have 2 shifts, and now they're down to 10 employees, and it's just one
Well,
shift.
Cody,
And
it's
it's
just-
just-
how much
So, I mean,
did
the
the
core of
State
the-
Department quit, the state quit giving us?
Yeah,
so the
that
core
costs
of the
us
problem
$500,000.
is we don't have
Yeah.
the max. So our services haven't changed, what we've promised hasn't changed, it's that we've lost the revenue.
Well, we've added services. We added the road program. We added the sidewalk program, which hired more people. We've added services that cost more money.
We brought on more parks.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting too, in terms of the economic development committee that we have, taking a look at just that in terms of general funds and the amount of general funds that is coming in.
Yeah.
And the economic development plan that we have, is it currently
So
being successful the way we think we need it to be successful?
Andy, Kathy, and I sat down last year, outlined benchmarks to be
Yeah.
able to show what a successful economic development department is. Income tax is part of that equation, but it's not the whole equation. So if the Economic Development Committee of Council wants to look at that, we can bring it back.
I would love to. But I think my biggest thing is I just, me being naive about 20 years ago finances, did we get too big for our britches, and now this is part of the reason that we have such a struggle? Or is
No,
it
I
literally
wouldn't say that.
just?
It's just, I mean, 2017, we had a real good year.
Okay.
You know, we're just 2 years away from that.
But Lori brought up the point where we don't budget, we don't save for things like roads. And that has been a truth for as long as I've been on council, that we haven't been in a position to even consider saving for things
Yeah,
like
but we're
that.
spending anywhere from $1 million to $2 million on roads
To
and
catch up.
levy money, yeah.
We've also
Yeah.
changed our philosophy, we're trying to pay cash for everything,
Yes.
and we have not, I mean, that north end plot project that was supposed to help the drainage or whatever, that was a pretty expensive project that I believe that we're still paying on.
You talking north end, my ward?
Yeah, north
Yeah,
end.
that Mr. Flock on it.
Oh, where?
Yeah,
We're
we're
not
paying for
paying
that,
for
actually
that.
paying that note off next year.
Woo-hoo. And they're still complaining about the water?
Yeah.
That was before my time.
Sorry, I was just.
No.
Okay.
Well, I would share too that I think that our administrative team has always been service oriented. And that what we haven't done is, like, we recognize that we're in a lower socioeconomic community. So our residents, the average income is about $45,000, I think, from the last census that I looked at, or somewhere near that. So we're not living in an affluent community with affluent residents. And we don't, like Monica said, have a lot of industry and business to help to buffer that, where we might have in the past had that. So when we're focusing on growth as a city, how do we focus on changing the dynamics of that? We don't want to be less service oriented, I don't think. I think that that's something we take pride in as a community, that we're a small community, and we have a hometown kind of feeling. And I don't think the council has been willing to say, hey, we don't want to do that anymore, let's stop doing that, let's stop offering so many services to our residents. And at the same time, we've done some good stuff with, reducing some of the services that we have, some of the things we've given over to the county. We've gone in some good directions there. But the housing stock and things like that are the things that draw the more affluent communities, the crime in the school systems. And now we're trying to have a better bond with our school systems and be more engaged and involved with them. So I think we're taking some really, really healthy and very positive steps. And I certainly appreciate all of the work that our staff does here. And it is a very difficult thing to change the base of residents from low socioeconomic to affluent.
Well, wait till wintertime and we have a really bad snowstorms consistently. Our overtime was like 5 years ago.
Stop.
All right.
Well, that's when we're just gonna call you.
Paul's not sure about.
Yes.
Get your skills here up.
Andy, what's next on your list?
All right,
We
good.
have budgeted for 2 12-hour shifts, so the overtime won't be crazy ridiculous because it's budgeted.
And I'll ride along and keep them away.
There you go.
Put me down. I'll go.
Okay, this is Fund 712, the water fund. Thank you for passing the water rate increases, greatly appreciate it. They're going to be asking for $4.8 million. $3 million of that is for the water intake. There's also, we've got a lot of grants next year too. There's $500,000 OPWC money for Skinner and $282,000 for Button. And these are the water capital requests for 2020. Any issues, concerns?
Going back to the water facility,
Mhm.
what projects are actually, I see they're electrical, I'm not quite sure what that means, but are we getting the gate fixed? So
Denise,
that
will you come
people
up
can
and
have to
chat?
actually punch in, get in and out of there?
I got the gate fixed. I did. So in the plan, we're gonna fix number 6 filter. That was that filter that was dismantled when we were there. We are building a carbon feed room, to feed the 40 parts of carbon the EPA would like us to feed. The electrical upgrades are so that we can prevent a fire from happening in the ceiling. And, we are now also looking at air gap devices for when bulk trucks come in to buy water.
Okay. So for capital projects, does that include, I don't want to say general maintenance, but, so the building doesn't look like, that one section looks like a bomb went off. I mean, is that?
Where the bricks were falling,
Yeah, I mean, the whole side of the building's coming down. And that area is,
well, that's actually on this year, and so we're already have masonry plans for repairs on this year's budget, on 2019.
and again, you're doing a great job. I just want to make sure that as we head into 2020, that I've been down here twice with the tour, and the second tour was a little bit more interesting than the first tour I got.
Much different.
Because we went a little bit more into the catacombs and stuff, and it's not the way it should be. And I know it took us a while to get there,
Yeah.
but we need a 3 or 5 year plan in place to get us where we should.
And they presented the 5-year
Yeah.
agreement, right?
So are you happy with this year?
For this year, coming up, yes.
Okay, that's good for me.
You wanted more, right?
Well,
Sorry.
that's what that crazy.
She was the hoverboard one.
Yeah, right, yeah, sure.
How that gets around to the worry about the road. Just compromise there.
All right, so that is all of our capital's request, and the water intake should be done in 2020.
Did they get the boring instrument out today?
No,
What? It was a nice, beautiful day.
well,
We can come back to that.
Okay, next is capital for sewer funds. So Leanne needs $150,000 for some various sewer improvements and for Button Avenue. And then Kevin's asking for primary number 3 rebuild, $225,000. And then they're also paying for a third of the sewer camera truck, which is $90,000.
And then that'll be in 3 years, we'll be picking that. Take that, or come on.
No, I'm sorry, we're paying this out of 3 different funds. We're gonna pay cash 100% for it in 2020. It's the sewer, the stormwater, and one of the general fund related capital funds are gonna pay for the sewer camera.
What do we have now? Do we have a sewer camera now?
Yes, we do.
And what will happen, then we'll have 2 or retire one?
We'll trade one in. Hopefully we'll get a good price for it.
And is that accounted for in the 270?
No,
So that 270 could end up being 200?
I have no idea what they go for, but
It depends what they give us on the trade-in.
yeah.
Everything we purchase is through state pricing, so we know you're getting.
10 years old, it's not like your phone, you get $100 for it.
Yeah.
If
It's
that's-
not gonna be a lot.
But again, that would mean we would
It would.
transfer less of the 300,000.
We're saying that
Well, it depends.
it would build up the fund balance.
Okay.
It
Oh, yeah.
helps us out for future years.
Okay.
Everybody good with sewer?
Yep.
All right. Next is electric. They are requesting $4.5 million. Some of their big ones is the $3 million to bury cable for future developments, bury electric cables. And again, we're going to take this from the electric reserve fund. So that balance is like 3.6 million. We're going to take 3 million of that to pay for burying the cables.
And will that happen this year, for 2020?
Yes.
Are we still generating revenue in the electric funds?
So, yeah, sure.
Okay. So I mean, like, if we're depleting that to 600,000.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Are
If
we
we
going
have
to
a
get
big-
some of that money back in there? Or
If
is
we
that?
have a big year, we can transfer money in there,
Okay.
yes.
But and we're still consistently having
We're
good years?
we're in an okay year with the electric, yes.
Alright.
They're also asking for $250,000 to pay for the other half of my software, which I don't care, take it. No big deal.
Oh, you already have the software?
No, it's a 2-year process.
Did you know
Jess,
that? Did you know that you're paying for that? Okay.
so
You look surprised, that's you looked kind of surprised.
he just found out.
You know, you said you weren't happy about the water?
Yeah, okay.
Transfer that right now.
I'm fine with the water, I'm not.
So that's all the Jeff's capital, you see it's 4.5, Jeff is here if you guys want to go over any of it with him.
And this is not coming out of general fund, right?
No, this is all electric fund.
Oh, fine.
I'm interested in knowing a little bit about the traffic signals thing for that far.
That
Just
one is
because-
actually Brian's, I believe.
The traffic signals?
Oh, it's Leon's?
The study?
Yeah, because I feel like we did one not too long ago.
So we.
But, I mean, if we're not to that far, we
No,
can.
no, no, you're fine. So what I did is I applied for CNAC funding for new traffic signal system, because our system is so old. We're having a hard time getting parts for the modems inside the cabinets. So, the grant that I got is for construction only. So we need to do the design, figure out if we need to add any more traffic signals, and if we can reduce traffic signals, I believe on the north end, on High and State and High and St. Clair, where they're just flashing. I believe we can remove those cabinets and just put a four-way stop in. So that's all part of this traffic study.
I can just
You
picture.
know, you've been around for a while when the system that's in place is old, and you remember when it was installed.
The system was installed in 2003.
It's first time always.
It's significantly
Just think about
outlived its life.
What the iPhone would have been in 2003, and now we're up to 11, so I'm sure it's.
Oh, can you tell us about the battery building upgrades?
It's for batteries.
Yes,
Oh.
right now,
That's not the one battery building right next to the power plant, is it?
Yes.
Yes.
They trip, they strip one.
Yes.
It's never gonna go.
This is so we can actually use it.
So,
Yeah, so it's just to bring the, right now the floor is too low to park vehicles in here, it's just to bring it up so that we can
Trip
actually
lines,
use it.
everything. Yeah, the trip lines.
But again, it's not coming out of general fund. It's-
Right, it's electric construction.
We're still spending.
Still
it.
spending.
All right,
And-
next, Andy.
You good with electric?
Yeah. Yeah. I
One
should
more
say
thing,
that.
I'm sorry, on electric, I think. The bearing, the cable, the 3 million there.
So in 2019, we budgeted 3.1 million. We didn't spend it in 19. The money goes back into the fund. We're rebudgeting it in 2020. It's for the same project in the same location. It just wasn't spent in 2020, or 2019.
Thank you.
All right. Next, Fund 760, this is our stormwater. They're asking for $704,000. $550,000 is going to come from level 2 monies from the county, so they're really only asking for like $150,000, which isn't bad at all. They'll pay for $90,000 for the sewer camera and $64,000 for engineering for gingerbread design. And big one at $550 is going to the Bank Street.
How much is in the Bank Street account now?
I-
We can put money away for it.
Yes, we have, I believe there's 250, I have to check, but after this, I believe we have all the money we need set aside with the current study, right?
Right,
But-
they're still determining what that expense, what that cost is going to be moving forward in construction. They're still in the feasibility study.
And with, as Jim had said, with things going up and so on and so forth, is there a way to hurry them along?
Not the Army Corps of Engineers.
Yeah.
We're lucky they're there.
I still
Yeah.
say, I think they're probably worth it.
So, and the bad part about working with Army Corps is if the federal government doesn't fund our project, then we just did a feasibility study and we can't move forward. So we would have to, but the chances of that happening, getting this far along are pretty slim according to them, but it still could happen.
But after this year, we should have all the money that we thought we would need to pay for the erosion control, unless Army comes back and says, you guys owe us.
How much is that?
We will, with the 550, I believe it'll be like $750,000 set aside. And the 550 is coming from the county, so that's not city money, that's level 2 monies.
That 550 is one.
Yep. And last one, new software, new recreation software, $12,000. This is not general fund money either.
What is that?
Okay, so we tried to get, we did start with the new recreation software about a year ago that was free, that we didn't have to pay for. We weren't able to find an interface where somebody could work with our finance system with the new recreation software. The way it was not with the one we currently are trying to use, because they wanted to pull funds out of our account, not to let them bill us and then us send them the funds, which Andy doesn't allow anybody to pull funds out of your account. So because of that, we weren't able to set it up where somebody could go online and pay with their credit card themselves.
Okay, so this is to be able to do like online billing and
So
whatnot.
for your son, if you want to
This
sign
is
him
for
up for your
summer
week of
camp.
summer camp, you can just go online, pay for it yourself. So what we have to do now is we either come in or we have to get Carla the
I was gonna
information.
say, I like calling Carla, it's
I
fun.
know,
We talk every day.
But some people don't like to share their credit card. So we have gotten pushback
Well, here's a copy.
on that, so,
Okay.
so this will give us the ability to have somebody do it themselves. So we're buying software this time, we didn't buy it last time.
Okay, so this is $12,000 just to be able to pay with online bill pay?
Well, it's that, and it's just, not just the bill pay, but, people could sign up for stuff online and not have to come in and sign up for it. It's more than that. It's
It's
just.
good customer service.
Yes, yes, and
Yes.
actually, that's not general fund money, that's all money.
No, I was just wondering.
What's excess from summer camp, that's how our summer camp did. So we're just.
You're welcome.
Spending the money.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you, for participating and supporting summer camp.
Thank you for doing it.
So this software actually directs them to a secure site?
Yes.
If you guys don't have a secure site, it's.
No, well, we do if you're gonna, well, not just something do it online. We do, they're gonna come in and.
Right.
Right, but this is the one they're gonna do it themselves.
So would we be able to share that software with the electric so that they can pay
Actually,
online?
this is.
Can we do that?
This is in conjunction with the new software Amy's putting in.
Very
So that way, actually, even our deposits will go straight over to finance. It'll just make us more efficient.
So, total capital request is $13.1 million. If you guys want anything change, we'd like to know by tomorrow morning. I know it's short, but we gotta get going with the whole book and everything for you guys.
So the only thing that bothered me today was the 19.87.
The what?
The 19.87%
Yes.
area.
Yeah,
I
I
know
will
it's
show,
20%,
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
mean, like, if you charge me $6 and I pay you $5, you're gonna want your last dollar. So I guess it's just, if there's a way to make up that 0.13%, I know it's silly.
no, come on.
I,
I'll round the numbers up. It's 20%.
Stop it.
Okay?
no, you're the numbers guy.
Yeah, I
Doesn't
know.
that bother you?
No.
It doesn't bother you at all.
So I guess I can speak for myself. I'm good with this. I don't need to wait till tomorrow. Does anybody have?
I need to sit on this for a while.
Yeah.
I just have one question.
Sure.
As things,
Oh,
it looks like
I'm
you're
sorry, I
saying-
didn't get over the last page
Oh,
either.
yes.
There's one more.
Question?
Yeah. Just what Katie said, we're just under 20%, somehow we'll survive. Transfers out to the capital fund have almost decreased to almost half every year. Like I said, in 2017, we transferred out $2.2 million or whatever, and this year, we're gonna transfer out $650,000. So we definitely cannot keep operating like this. There's less money available every year. When we have deficit budgets, there's gonna be less money available next year too. We cut $150,000 from the roads, and we are asking for a one-time transfer out of the general fund reserve fund of $300,000.
That's where my question comes in. We mentioned the police department levy in the car and maybe some other things, changing money towards the end of the year for our favor. Can we as a council request that that go back into the rainy day fund, or what would happen to that money if we didn't request it? Would that go in the general fund?
We could make that, we can make it happen.
As long as we can reach the 20% fund balance,
Yeah.
then what's left can go back.
Can go back into the rainy day.
The other thing is, though, I don't think we want to use the fire levy to supplant the general fund budget.
I'm sorry, what?
I don't think we want to use the levy,
Please, Levy?
or the police levy,
Yeah,
to supplant the,
Well, the
general
$60,000 car was already in the police levy.
no, that was $60,000, that's being paid for, with court monies, it's,
Well, one
fines
is
from
cars.
right.
yeah, and then there is one car
I
that's
just
being
don't want
paid
people to
for.
think that
Yeah.
we're gonna pass the police levy and we're gonna take money out of the general fund.
Well, I'm thinking about what Jim is saying, I'm wondering about, like, if we're trying to pass a levy, how wise is it to take that 150 out of the road contribution? And what is our total in our rainy day fund right now?
721,000.
I guess I don't understand what you're saying. If we pass.
He's saying we don't wanna take money from,
Then use that money to,
Yeah.
reduce things out of the general fund.
Reduce things out.
We put out a list of things
Right.
that levy was going to be used for in terms of materials and projects and things of that nature. We need to stay the course on that and use that money for what we said we were going to.
but I believe cars were part of the two recommendations for the plan.
So the plan was to move some of the vehicles to the levy if it passed.
And some staffing. too.
Was
We
part
have
of the
increase in
plan.
staffing.
Well, the staffing was one.
Right.
We don't have increased staffing in the general fund.
No, I
That
know.
was an addition.
Yes.
Right.
Correct.
I just don't want people, I just don't want residents to feel that they're going to pass a levy and then
Well, but right now, we're planning to take on that cost and with the general fund. But the plan, the 5-year plan, the part of the levy is that cost being borne by the levy. So we're still moving forward with doing something, whether we pass the levy or not. But if we can pass the levy, we already plan to do that with the levy. But now we can do more because we have the levy.
And what's the impact of the new, from a salary perspective of the,
It's $100,000 per officer.
Yeah.
So it's $300,000.
the new administration building? We're gonna be consolidating some higher paying jobs in through there. What's that kind of impact, any?
So, it will, I don't know exactly how many, I think the county said anywhere between 30 and 50 people are coming into the city. There are some engineers that they're bringing in from the township, but we don't have the exact numbers. And I don't think they're gonna be fully staffed until maybe the end of the next year.
And those engineers can show.
Well, I'm okay with this,
Not here
but
with
I still don't understand why it's imperative that we tear down that building with storage for $100,000. I mean,
I got some matches we can take.
is that like something that
control
really has to be done?
Fire department?
Ask Randy about it. That's
Go
his-
ahead.
That building needs to be torn down, I mean, is that something that has to be done next year, or?
Well, we were under the direction,
So I
council.
told them to bring that back.
I,
Because
Right.
we have been getting pressure to get Store Street moving forward. Because the building, we had so much trouble with the first building. We don't want the momentum to end. We need to strategically plan what buildings are coming down, which buildings are going up, and what the plan is around it. And that's what Randy's working on right now.
Well, and
So we did expedite the numbers for the demolition of that one building because that's a building that council continues to ask about.
Is that the one that's right on the front street, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
That first one right beside the gate.
I would share that there's been some good economic development going on in that general area, and we have to do our part to
Yeah.
ensure
Improve the
That grocery store.
That's the demolition, that's the asbestos, and planning for the future.
And it's empty now, right?
No.
There's material stored in
But
there.
there's no human in there.
No.
No.
just goes from.
Not that we're aware of.
Any other questions?
So what is your timetable for those that